Let's talk about breathing, something you don't really notice until it becomes hard to do. For the 1 in 13 Americans living with asthma, that struggle is all too familiar. Wheezing, chest tightness, coughing fits that show up like an uninvited guest in the middle of the night, or even worse, while you're climbing stairs, laughing too hard, or just stepping outside on a pollen-heavy day. Asthma isn't just annoying, it can be dangerous, and for many, it's a lifelong condition that needs real management. Welcome back to Pharma-Logic, where we break down the facts, bust the myths, and explain the science behind your health without the jargon or the judgment. Today, we're tackling a topic that literally takes your breath away: asthma. What it is, what triggers it, how it's treated, and why that over-the-counter inhaler at the pharmacy shouldn't be your long-term plan. Asthma is a chronic inflammatory condition of the airways. Think of your bronchial tubes, the air highways into your lungs, as being hypersensitive. When triggered, they tighten, swell, and produce extra mucus. That's why someone having an asthma attack sounds like they're trying to breathe through a straw while someone's pinching it shut. Not fun, not safe. And triggers? Oh, there's a list. Dust, pollen, pet dander, cold air, exercise, smoke, viral infections, stress, even strong smells like perfume or cleaning products. Asthma is that guest that shows up uninvited when literally anything mildly irritating happens in your environment. It's like your lungs have a flair for the dramatic. Now, asthma isn't one size fits all. Some people only have occasional symptoms, while others have daily flare-ups. There's exercise-induced asthma, allergy-triggered asthma, occupational asthma, even asthma that gets worse at night. The good news? It's manageable. The not-so-good news? A lot of people don't manage it well. Let's talk treatment. The cornerstone of asthma treatment is inhalers, but not all inhalers are created equal. There are two main types: rescue inhalers and controller inhalers. Rescue inhalers, like albuterol, are fast-acting bronchodilators that relax the muscles around your airways. They work quickly to relieve symptoms. Think of them like emergency exits. But here's the catch: they're not meant to be used every day. That little blue inhaler, it's not a security blanket. It's a seatbelt. Good to have when you need it, but if you're using it 5 times a day, that's a red flag. Over-reliance on rescue inhalers is a major sign that your asthma isn't well controlled. And that over-the-counter inhaler you can buy without a prescription, that's not a fix-all either. It might give you temporary relief, but it won't address the underlying inflammation that causes asthma in the first place. Controller inhalers, often containing inhaled corticosteroids, work slowly over time to reduce inflammation and prevent symptoms from happening in the first place. They don't give you that immediate relief, but they're the real MVPs of asthma control. If you have persistent asthma and you're not using a controller inhaler, you're basically treating a house fire with a squirt gun. And yes, some people do grow out of asthma. I'm one of them. I had it as a kid, and for years I carried my inhaler everywhere, avoided running too hard in PE, and became very familiar with the inside of the nurse's office. But now, I don't have symptoms anymore. It doesn't affect everyone that way, but it's true that childhood asthma can improve or even disappear with age, especially if it was mild to begin with. Still, even if symptoms go away, it's worth keeping an eye out. Asthma can come back later in life, often triggered by new allergens, stress, or illnesses. One of the biggest myths about asthma is that if you're not wheezing, you're fine. But asthma can still be active beneath the surface. You might have subtle signs, like needing to stop more often when exercising, waking up coughing, or feeling tightness in your chest with cold air. That's your body whispering before it starts yelling. Another myth? That asthma is just a kid's problem. Not true. Adults can develop asthma too, sometimes after a respiratory infection or due to long-term exposure to allergens or irritants at work. And when adults get asthma, it tends to be more persistent and requires more aggressive management. Let's also clear up the idea that you can tough it out. asthma is not a condition to play hero with. If your airways are inflamed, pushing through can make things worse, even dangerous. And yes, people still die from asthma attacks every year, often because they underestimated their symptoms or didn't take their meds regularly. This isn't meant to scare you, just to emphasize that asthma deserves respect. If you or someone you love has asthma, there are a few essentials to keep in mind. First, know your triggers and avoid them as best you can. Second, have a written asthma action plan, especially for kids who may not be able to explain what they're feeling. Third, use your medications exactly as prescribed. And fourth, track your symptoms. If you're using your rescue inhaler more than twice a week or waking up coughing more than twice a month, it's time to talk to your doctor. Also, and I say this as a future pharmacist who's watched this happen, please don't share inhalers. Your cousin's albuterol might not be the right dose for you, and using someone else's medication can be risky. Plus, if you're borrowing an inhaler regularly, that's a sign you probably need your own prescription. Pharmacists play a big role in asthma care too. We can walk you through inhaler technique, because yes, most people use them incorrectly. Help identify cheaper alternatives if your insurance isn't cooperating, and flag interactions with other meds you might be taking. And one last thing, if your asthma's well controlled, you should be able to do all the things you love. Run, dance, travel, hike, maybe even become a pharmacist who talks way too much on YouTube about lung physiology. The point is, asthma doesn't have to run your life, but ignoring it, that just gives it more power. Thanks for watching. If this helped you understand asthma a little better, or if you're someone who used to rely too heavily on that over-the-counter inhaler, hit that like button and subscribe for more pharmacist-informed health videos every Friday at 5 p.m. MST. And let me know in the comments, did you grow out of asthma like I did? Or are you managing it now? Have you ever had an asthma emergency that you took care of by yourself? Do you have tips and helping anyone else who's struggling with asthma? Your story might help someone else feel a little more seen and a little more in control. Breathing is the most important thing you can do, you know. So please take care of your lungs for me and make sure you never, ever, ever smoke or even vape. Period. Until next time, breathe easy, stay curious, and don't wait until you're wheezing to pay attention to your lungs. Breathe easy and breathe responsibly for your health's sake. They've got a lot to say if you're listening.